And Bernard,
inside estate.
I am happy to tell you today that we won the Ashanti Regional Inter-Schools and Colleges football competition yesterday.
Okay.
The last time we won it was in 1997.
Hey!
And the coach who took us to win yesterday,
3 years ago,
Isaac Owusu Ninja. He played in 1997 for Kumasi High School when we won in 97.
And he's now the coach.
And yesterday he coached the boys
to win the Ashanti Regional Inter-Schools.
It'd be big thing. You should see the videos.
But which schools used to win that thing?
Okes, Amas.
They are the dominant. The macho people.
Senior high school. You see, since
exciting talent,
we had not really won it. But before the 1997s, in the 70s and 80s, Kumasi High School was the boss. And then after 97 things, so now we are reclaiming our position.
But I hope all your players are
correct players.
Kojo is going to give me 2 of their players.
Super players
to play for your football team.
Yeah, he's going to link me up. But it's good. You asked that question because Charlie, when I remember Ninja, Charlie, the high school he went. The high school like 9 years old.
Let's get the headlines first. Let's start with the BNFT for today.
Front page of the BNFT, Bernard. Could I beg you? I'm sorry. IMF disputes BOG's international reserves figure of $8 billion. Wow. Okay. Businesses must support agenda to make it attainable. This is in reference to Ghana Beyond Aid. Apprenticeships are now compulsory as TVET drafts new policy for implementation. Good call there.
Now, the Ghanaian Times, GES PTA Tango over Achimota Preparatory School. Let's commit to after agreement for benefit of continent. President Sami Jemfi arrested, released on bail, and 19 teachers granted bail for offensive conduct.
Front page of the Daily Statesman newspaper. I'm up for 4 more. John Boedu says only President Akufo-Addo has voiced an interest in running for the NPP ticket. Bring back the cars you bought at your Kegari prices. Occupy Ghana chases Mahama appointees for vehicles. Now, and then at the top is the story that we're all talking about. Save Neoplan from collapse. Group pleads with government.
Now, they find that Zipline delivers 20,000 items, 833 patients in emergency situations saved. Chief Imam spokesman backs EC on new voters register. GRA ignores lawsuit, allows Unipass to install equipment, and no mass protection of sitting MPs in Ashanti region. John Boedu.
Front page of the Daily Guide. NDC plots against EC on farm. Neoplan closure sparks debate. Ofusu trial begins tomorrow.
The Chronicle. Stop the protest. Go and register, says Chief Imam's secretary. Sami Jemfi arrested. Zimbabwe pleads with Ghana help lift sanctions against us. And intended closure of Neoplan Ghana Limited creates fear and panic among workers.
Now, front page of the Daily Graphic. VAT automation second quarter. Measure to reduce stress in payment. Shore up revenue. Comes with the photo of Mr. Amishadai Owusu Amua. President picks nomination forms. Pensioners given up to Friday to complete biometric registration.
The Sami Jemfi story is on the front page of the New Crusading Guide, but we have the updates on citynewsroom.com. Danger at ports. Unipass pushes for take-off without system. NPP primaries. Naka boss set to unseat Joe Mensah and Kwesimin team. And Chief Imam's boy endorses new register. Says EC is on course.
I'll end with graphic business. Register of companies over 600,000 firms face deletion. Maiden cleanup exercise starts in February.
Citynewsroom.com. White paper on Ayawaso Westward gun violence useless. According to NDC's that Lali Brempong, he is the former parliamentary candidate. Also, Sami Jemfi caution yet to be officially charged according to the police. Meanwhile, Kakre Samoa is calling the police out for contempt for arresting Mr. Jemfi. Akufo-Addo commissions 307 ambulances today, and there's an article on Shelley's who writes of road crashes, pedestrian knockdowns, and abandoned Medina Adenta footbridge. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola workers continue to protest to demand reinstatement of their dismissed MD. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, leverage Moody's positive rating to attract investment, according to Professor Isibe, to government. Meanwhile, cashew farmers and buyers disagree on pricing due to absence of regulator. Now let's go to my journal online. Coronavirus. Health Minister assures Ghana is prepared to fight deadly infection. Also, NDC demands compensation for victims of Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence. And Patrick Alote, captured in video, is a boxer beating spectator during Hearts Kotoko clash. Really, really tragic indeed. Now, if you move to GNA, President receives 7 envoys letters of credentials. First Lady advises Kayaye to sleep under treated mosquito nets. And Ghana and EU delegation to hold political dialogues on Wednesday. Globally, the death toll from China virus outbreak now passes 100. This is what the BBC is reporting. If you go to Hong Kong itself, the South China Morning Post says the virus toll climbs to 106. China admits shortage of medical supplies. So if China can short medical supplies, then we there. But that's a serious story, and they need more medical staff to help as well. So that's the story coming in from there. Let's get into the details locally.
I'll start from business, Bernard. I'm taking you to the front page of the BNFT. IMF disputes BOG's international reserves figure of $8 billion. That story is on page 3 of the paper by Obed Atayeboa. The International Monetary Fund has raised concerns about the Bank of Ghana's definition of the country's gross international reserves, saying the inclusion of oil revenue makes the figure overvalued, as it cannot be readily available to cushion the economy from external shocks. In the Bank of Ghana's statistical bulletin report for the third quarter of 2019, the gross international reserve stood close to $8 billion and 3.8 months of import cover. However, in the IMF's Article 4 report, the projected reserves for end of 2019 will hit $5 billion with an import cover of 2.4 months, a difference of nearly $3 billion, and also falling short of the 3-month rule of thumb benchmark. What this essentially means is that should there be any external shocks or excessive demand for foreign currency by importers or foreign investors, the economy will not be able to withstand such shocks for 3 consecutive months, a situation that will cause the cedi to depreciate further.
Now I'll do more business stories. Intended closure of Neoplan Ghana Limited creates fear and panic among workers. This story is on page 7 of the Chronicle. The story says the concerned voters movement, a pressure group based in Accra, has raised concern about the intent of the management of the Neoplan Ghana Limited to shut down and lay off its workers. In a statement released in Accra over the weekend, the pressure group argued that the ramifications of the closure, if it indeed happens, would be dire and calls on the government to intervene. And the paper has published the full statement that the Neoplan Ghana Limited, a bus manufacturing company, has been in existence since 1974. And since its establishment, the company has made history in producing over 4,000 buses for government institutions, universities, Metro Mass Transit, GPRT, and private individuals. They go on to write that in 2002, President Kufuor's government contracted Neoplan Ghana Limited to build 450 buses for Metro Mass Transit. And this contract ended in July 2010. And Neoplan Ghana Limited has since not gotten any contracts from successive governments. And they go on and on and on to write.
So Daily Guide also leads with that story and says that people are debating the issue of Neoplan's collapse, whether they should have government resuscitate it or let it go. We'll discuss that on the show proper. The president is going to commission 307 ambulances today. We've heard that. Just to give you some quick details of that story, it's on citinewsroom.com by Jonas Nyabo. It says, barring any last-minute hitches, the president will this morning commission the 307 ambulances procured by government for distribution across the various constituencies in the country. This will take place at the Forequarter State House in Accra. This comes after an earlier postponement from January 6 to today over claims that the training of emergency medical technicians and installation of tracking devices was still ongoing. This was confirmed for us by the National Ambulance Service head, Professor Ahmad Nuhu Zakaria, who says unlike the previous set of ambulances, these new ones have been insured. So that's some good one there. Let's move on to other stories.
Well, I will take you, Bernard, to page 16 and 17 of the graphic business. Customs bare teeth poised to stop importation of banned second-hand products. Story by Charles Benonyoka says personnel of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority have been instructed to ensure that all banned second-hand products are tracked and properly classified so that they do not get into the market. This is part of a grand scheme by the GRA to increase security at the ports and stop the illegal importation of banned second-hand mattresses, fridges, and other appliances into the country. That's good news.
Now, still on the GRA ignores lawsuit and allows Unipass to install equipment. This is the Finder, page 4. The story says, despite an ongoing legal battle in which IT solutions firm West Blue Consulting, the company providing the single window trade facilitation, has accused Ghana Link and its foreign partner, Cupia of Korea Customs Service, of plagiarizing its software, the Ghana Revenue Authority has authorized Unipass, which has started installing its equipment. Information reaching the Finder indicates that the installation of Unipass equipment has started at Avle, which some argue flies in the face of the law, since the outcome of the case is yet to be decided by the courts.
And interesting developments at the Ghana Revenue Authority again, Bernard, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, VAT automation second quarter. Now, according to the story, the collection of value-added tax will be automated by the second quarter of this year. The measure will involve linking the teller systems, including point-of-sale devices of VAT-eligible companies and supermarkets, to ensure that the tax is credited directly to the GRA at the point of purchase. The measure will ensure convenience in the payment and filing of VAT returns, broaden the tax net, and enhance compliance with the ultimate goal of increasing revenue collection for the state.
But let me give you a final story on these digital-related matters. Ghana card registration commences in Takoradi.
Okay.
And the finder reports that the National Identification Authority on Monday started the registration exercise for the Ghana card in Sekondi Takoradi Metropolis with minor hitches and complaints. Many of the centers the GNA visited, people were worried over delays in the process, inability to get the card instantly, and issues of security. Meanwhile, the number of people at the various centers visited was also not encouraging. The process, which seemed less cumbersome, however, left people disappointed that their cards could not be issued to them right away.
All right, now I wanted to take you to the Sami Jemfi story.
Okay.
So the police is saying that Sami Jemfi has been cautioned, is yet to be charged, but the NDC's Kakre Samoa says that the police are in contempt for even arresting him in the first place. So I'll bring you both stories shortly. Now, the first story is here written for City Newsroom. It says the Ghana Police Service has explained that the communication officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi, may face court action once investigations are concluded over his alleged involvement in cybercrime. DSP Josephine Obeng, public relations officer at the CID, on Eyewitness News, clarified that Mr. Jemfi's bail and conditions mean he has been cautioned and not charged. Mr. Jemfi has been granted bail with 2 sureties. As we speak, he's not been charged. He's only been cautioned. He's still under investigation. He's on police inquiry bail. So once we are through with that, he may be charged and then processed for court.
Okay.
Then, if you go to the second story, the communication director of the NDC, Kakre Samoa, has said the arrest of Mr. Jemfi contravenes the orders of the court. According to Mr. Samoa, the arrest was tantamount to contempt, given that Sami Jemfi had earlier filed a suit at the High Court barring the police from arresting or interrogating him. So that story continues later this morning.
Staying with politics, on page 2 of the Daily Statesman, Akufo-Addo's team picks up forms for presidential primaries. President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo's campaign team yesterday picked up nomination forms to compete for the 2020 presidential nomination of the governing New Patriotic Party. The forms were collected on his behalf by Victor Newman, Director of Research at the Office of the President. Handing over the forms to Mr. Newman, the NPP's General Secretary, John Boadu, said President Akufo-Addo is the only individual who so far has declared his intention to compete for the flag bearer's position.
Now, still on the NPP, the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boadu, has allayed fears from some quarters that a lot of sitting MPs in the Ashanti region will be allowed to go unopposed.
That's a big issue.
Yes.
Big one.
Now, in his interaction with the Ashanti Regional Council, comprising all regional executives, constituency chairmen and secretaries, as well as sitting MPs and MMDCs in the region, Mr. Boadu set the record straight, stating that nothing of that sort will happen.
Because there are fears from aspirants that there are moves to frustrate new entrants because they want to protect some of the old or bigger fishes.
Yeah, but staying with politics and still, let me go to Daily Guide and then I'll come back to the Statesman. Ofosu-Ampofo trial begins tomorrow. That is on page 3 of the Daily Guide.
Okay.
The prosecution will from tomorrow begin to call his first witness in the trial of the embattled National Chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, and the Deputy Communications Director of the party, Anthony Kweku-Boahen. The two are standing trial over a leaked tape that captured how the opposition NDC was allegedly planning to commit crimes in the country and turn around to blame them on the NPP. Now, when you go to the Statesman, bring back the cars you bought at your Kegari prices. Occupy Ghana.
Occupy Ghana actually say that.
Chases Mahama appointees for vehicles, and that story is on page 2 of the paper. Occupy Ghana. A pressure group is demanding the return of the 361 government vehicles sold to appointees of the erstwhile Mahama government at what it describes as Yokegari prices. The call follows assurances by both President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo and John Mahama to put an end to the purchase of duty post vehicles. By political appointees. President Akufo-Addo told his ministers on April 11, 2017, that officials would no longer have the opportunity to buy any official car.
Now, if you check the center spread of the Chronicle, there's a report titled "Curses in Blessings: Water That Breeds Bilharzia." Now, this report is by Agnes Ansa from the South Municipal Assembly, from a town called Tomefa. Tomefa, okay. And she reports that the people, even though they are so close to the center, which is Accra,
Yeah,
they
it's
do not
close
have
to Wager.
any health facility. They don't have any form of potable water. Meanwhile, this Densu is the same water treated for the people of Accra.
There are pockets of poverty within even Accra that will shock you.
Yes.
There are villages around Adan and places where you go, and some of the basic things you expect to see, you won't see there.
Now, if you go to page 18 of the Ghanaian Times, Kou Afram Plains residents cry for potable water. And this report also says that there's a town called Echi Amanfrom with a population of 12,000 people. And the last time they got a borehole was when the Millennium Challenge Corporation built one for them. And that broke down in 2012. And since then, they've not had any form of potable water, and they drink from streams and other sources.
All right, I wanted to take you to a few stories to do with the coronavirus, because the health minister has given assurance. For example, go to My Joy Online. The story says, Health Minister assures Ghana is prepared to fight the deadly infection. Now, the Health Minister, Kwikwa Jimamenu, says his office and partners have put in place measures to fight the deadly coronavirus in case it's detected in Ghana. In a statement copied to Joy News, the minister listed the country's preparedness and response measures which will ensure Ghanaians are fully protected from the infection or the virus. He said the ministry is working with the WHO's country office for Ghana and continuously monitoring the situation and will institute measures to prevent an outbreak in Ghana. Now, to give you the latest on this thing, death toll climbs to 106. China admits shortage of medical supplies. This story is coming in from Hong Kong, and it essentially is saying that the National Health Commission says 6,000 medical staff sent to Hubei epicenter from around the country, but there's a shortage of supplies slowing down their deployment. More countries and businesses are introducing travel restrictions, and in fact, there's another story on Joy Online that's suggesting that Ghanaian students are asking that they be evacuated from Wuhan. Let me just give you that story. Ghanaian students in Wuhan, and this story is by Amma Cromwell, and it says that Ghanaian students in Wuhan, China, are calling on the government to evacuate them from the country since there's an outbreak of the virus in that city. According to Wuhan chapter president of Ghanaian students, Samson Opoku, the city has been completely locked down for 8 days. As a result, people have run out of food supplies. He says, we are 151 students in the city, and for us, we want evacuation back home to Ghana. When the outbreak subsides or ends, then we return and continue our academic work. We don't know how long this corona thing is going to take. The number of cases and mortality rates increases each day, so members are scared. We want to be evacuated back home, he stressed.
There is good news on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Our railway is working. Takoradi to Takwa.
Okay.
Free ride. Ghana Railway Company Limited begins free rail service for commuters from Takoradi to Takwa.
Nice.
Now, the story says the Ghana Railway Company will this morning begin a free rail service for commuters from Takoradi to Takwa. The free ride would continue until Friday, January 31, 2020. According to the Deputy Managing Director in charge of engineering at the Ghana Railway Company, Dr. Ajay Anyete, it was part of whipping up enthusiasm of passengers following the recent refurbishment of the coaches and rail lines. A statement copied to the Ghanaian Times in Takoradi yesterday said the train would depart from Takoradi to Takwa at 6:15 a.m. and depart from Takwa to Takoradi at 3 p.m. each day.
So as we speak, it's already on its way.
Yes.
Let me give you a story of concern to you and people in the cashew business. It says cashew farmers and buyers disagree on pricing due to absence of regulator. This is citybusinessnews.com. And the story says the delay in regulating the pricing of cashew, one of Ghana's major non-traditional export crops, is beginning to create tension between cashew farmers and buyers. In the German North District of Bono region, which produces the chunk of the country's cashew, farmers are on a collision course with buyers over the price of the product with the commencement of the new purchasing season. Cashew is currently Ghana's leading non-traditional export. According to the GEPA, cashew fetched the country $981 million in 2018. Cashew export destinations include Vietnam and India. Now, the buying season for cashew starts January every year. This year's season has opened, but there's growing tension between cashew farmers and buyers in German North, which is the hub of cashew cultivation in the country with over 20,000 farmers. The German North district alone produces 60% of Ghana's cashew. The farmers this year have pegged their price at 8 cedis per 1 kilogram of cashew, but the buyers say they cannot buy at that price. This has resulted in a tussle between the two interested parties. Now, the German North Cashew Farmers Association has warned its members not to sell below the fixed price or else they will be sanctioned. Last year, the price of cashew was not stable as it fluctuated to the point of selling at 2 cedis per kilogram. I remember at Meet the Press, the previous one, not this one, the president said he was going to launch a cashew board.
Like cashew board, tree crop development.
Yeah, and that for cashew,
authority.
he was going to put in place some moves to deal with these matters.
Yes.
This was 2019.
We should ask more questions.
I think we should find out what happened.
Because Bernard, last year was terrible for cashew farmers. The prices dropped. A lot of them made losses. This year should be better. And for me, if we paid attention to cashew, if you look at the GEPA statistics, even at the current production, we are underperforming because there's a bigger opportunity for Ghana to earn over $1 billion from cashew.
Michael Sapong Ifum has more information on this story. We'll probably speak to him or play his report for you. It's a very important crop. So let's get into other stories.
Let me give you two stories. Page 34 of the Daily Graphic. Akwesi Agyeman's 1 week observance mark. That's, the president was in Kumasi yesterday.
Oh, so that's just a 1 week?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, and then the funeral will be big.
Because even been said
what I saw
in Kumasi yesterday.
Wow. Okumkom.
Yes.
Because Akwesi Agyeman is a legend.
He's a legend. Let's read the story then.
Yeah, so President Nana Akufo-Addo yesterday joined the Asante Otumfuo to the second and other mourners at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi for the 1 week observance of the passing of Berima Akwesi Agyeman, the former MC for Kumasi, popularly known as Okumkom by residents of Kumasi. Berima Agyeman, who was from the Royal Oyoko family of Asante, died at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital.
He was 86.
6 years old, yes. Now, on from that story, there's a...
But why is he a legend?
We've discussed the legend.
How many years was he mayor?
He was mayor for a long time, and aside
and
that, he's a royal. He's one of the
Achampo.
people who.
So he was very popular.
He was one of the people who could have been Asante.
Okay, he was in line for the throne.
So
see, because Bernard, the legendary said, let me just give you background. Now, dating back to 1977, during the SMC government of Ike Achimota, he served as chairman of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. He served under the various governments of the NRC, SMC 1 and 2, and was the MC during the administration of former President Jerry John Rawlings, to whom he became a close confidant.
So from a Champon through Ekufu to Liman to Rawlings.
Yes, he was the man running Kumasi.
Hey, he's a heavyweight guy.
Yeah,
wow.
But that good news here. Well, yes, I think it is good news. Education on page 28. Gambaga Girls SHS abolishes double track.
Yes,
reverse to single
we
track.
We heard that story yesterday.
Yes, very good news. Now this is because the school benefited from the government's emergency school projects, which awarded contracts for the completion of abandoned infrastructural projects and construction of new ones in schools, undertaking the double track.
Let me give you two quick headlines. Probe underway into Kobe Bryant's crash course. This is a story on the BBC. And it essentially says U.S. investigators are working to determine the cause of the helicopter crash that killed basketball star Kobe Bryant in California on Sunday. All 9 people on board the helicopter, including Bryant's 13-year-old daughter Gianna, perished. Investigations are expected to focus on weather conditions which were foggy and on any mechanical failures that might have occurred. Bryant is considered one of the greatest players in the game's history. Now, there's actually another related story. There's a petition calling for Bryant to be on the NBA logo. Now, more than 1 million people have backed the petition to use Kobe Bryant's image as a new official NBA logo. Bryant, considered one of the greatest basketball players in the game's history, died on Sunday, and the background is giving. And it's an interesting development.
You know what is interesting about this? The person whose silhouette is the logo today is the man who drafted Kobe Bryant, Jerry West.
Amazing. These are very interesting things. Could you final one?
Yes. So for those whose funds are still with microfinance companies, savings and loans and finance house companies, there is an advertorial in page 25 of the Ghanaian Times. Assets of these companies are going to be auctioned.
Okay. And
the auction begins tomorrow till Friday. That's the first one. And also Monday 3rd February to Friday 7th February at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So I believe that after the auction, the receiver will get some money.
Let me give you quick headlines from across African continents. So in Angola, Isabella dos Santos is suing reporters behind the Luanda leak story. In West Africa, Guinean economy is being crippled by protests, while Gambia launches anti-protest crackdown. So a lot of issues. There's a very interesting feature in East Africa that the region is costing itself out of a big share in global trade because of poor infrastructure and high costs. And then in East Africa, South Sudan is the most corrupt and Rwanda is the least corrupt. But based on the corruption perception,
but even more worrying is we have to go through UNICEF's report on school children who are out of school because of conflict.
And
in
which country?
In the Sahel region. And I looked at the map this morning from the UNICEF ACLED map. Bernard, it is beginning to hit northern Ghana.
It's coming down.
And it looks like the troublemakers from Burkina Faso want to enter the coastal side. That means Ghana, Togo, Benin.
Interesting. We'll talk about that in subsequent programs. This is the newspaper review. Coming up next is the City Business News.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
The newspaper review was brought to us by Fidelity Bank. Together, let's share the joy of the festive season. Use our mobile app to perform your transactions and be part of our top 5 customers to win 500 Citi gift vouchers every week. Fidelity